Okay, here's something neat in the video world, but it could have a lot of different applications to it. This is the type of software and stuff that they use to make Carrie Fisher still alive, where in some of those shots they took an actress and they portrayed her face onto it and scrunched it up. But the other parts of it, like when she's young, they totally CGI'd that too. And it's showing you that we can get better and better at it, but it takes more and more and more work. And one simple little thing makes her expression looks a little funny and it's not so unnatural. But one way to make it very natural looking is this. For what they do is they take training frames, and so it's like what they did in the for old movie shots and stuff. And this is the way the person really looks. And so they take and find the facial landmarks and they make sure the person's eyes are the same distance apart and everything else, because otherwise it wouldn't look quite the same. People have a different facial structure, it won't fit. And indeed, it still has problems if you try to put somebody with a long face with somebody with a round face and so on, but it maps it onto it pretty well. So it has facial landmarks and it makes a learned talking head. And then whatever happens on the left happens on the right, and they have the same face. Now, you can use this to do things like make Mona Lisa talk and stuff like that. And you can imagine the great usage of something like this if you were to say, okay, well, Mona Lisa is going to talk to you in this documentary that's about Michelangelo or whatever and everything. Now, they'd have to have a voice actress and a personal actress, but instead of her looking, oh, kind of like her, they can make her look just like it. Now, I showed you one that they did on this stuff of Trump and everything, and how they could, use it for bad and make it seem like if somebody could mock his voice and then do the mannerisms, do the fake thing, that it might get to the point that they could actually fake even what somebody says. But you can imagine something like using Mona Lisa in this or another similar type environments, but it could be done in a bunch of different ways. So you could take something like Salvador Dali, and if you look at these, you can tell they're mapping it onto the face. But how would you like to hear, oh, I don't know, Einstein end up telling you the theory of relativity himself? Or, something along that line, if he was to tell you what they found out since the theory of relativity. Isn't that neat? So you can take some of his papers and read it back, but they've even done it with paintings, and it literally looks like a painting comes to life. And old Russians come to life here, and they can literally use it. And this guy that they do it to, I can't show you this right now, but he literally looks nothing like him whatsoever. And they've put his face on him, and now whenever he talks, blinks and everything, it looks like him doing it. So you could get Stalin to say things, Lenin to say things, and stuff like that. And you could see it being used for comical ways in commercials somewhat. You could see it used in propaganda. But you could hopefully see where something that he had written before, they could make it seem like he was saying it. Important sayings and stuff like that. Say you want to see what Lincoln looked like giving the Gettysburg Address. Well, we've had a bunch of people try to pull it off, but you could now do it, and it wouldn't be a Disney animatronic, and it wouldn't be, that actor that looked so much like him and pulled off such a good job. It would be what he looks like, saying what he says, and everything. Even make it look black and white like back at the time, and pull it totally off. So I see a bunch of good reasons that it could be used, and I think it's pretty neat. I see a bunch of bad things that it could be used for, and it could be kind of not so neat because of that. But it's one of those things that the technology is here, and while we may use it to do a couple of people in a movie or do this or do that, it comes all the way back from like The Crow. If you remember that, Brandon Lee died in that, and they took and transposed his face in a few shots and did real selective photography for the end parts and all the shots that they did, and omitted a few scenes and so on, and they were able to pull it off. Same way they kind of did Star Wars. But this doesn't have to be used to create somebody posthumously doing something. But imagine you could even do something else. You could get actors that have good mannerisms of somebody, and you could take somebody like, oh hell, I don't know, Michael Caine. back in the day Michael Caine and transpose it and then make him look like Michael Caine. And you can make a movie where you have Marilyn Monroe, Michael Caine, and Keanu Reeves, along with, you know, God knows, pick somebody, and try to do a movie like something like that. It would all be voice acting and it would all be regular people, but they would just transpose the look on them. You know what I mean? You could also do weird things to have somebody do incredible art, like alien art. And then you could, without CGI doing it, you could just transpose it onto somebody's face, and now you have the alien face. And it doesn't have to be CGI. You probably have to do it back and forth a few ways and make sure it gets real good before one is seen as really a whole lot better and more economical than the other. This is going to be more economical once they get it going, of course, due to the amount of hours and frame by frame thing that this just takes into account and makes play out. But as long as they can get somewhat real, they can do that. This is the same type of thing where they could take a deer like Bambi and they could make it talk. They could just have somebody do it on the side and they could go through it and make it look like it. So you could even, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly human even. It's amazing. They don't have to have the dots all over their body and the whole thing go on anymore either. They basically do their face, they put their face on their face, and then they do whatever the hell they're going to do, and it puts it on there. I think it's pretty neat and unique. Anyhow, let me know what you think down in the comments, and like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy.